using CSS. These are the main motto of this today's class. Guys, HTML is dead easy. Whatever the version of HTML that you take, HTML is all about tags, elements, and attributes. Okay, those who are completely new to HTML, kindly go back to my yesterday's session. It will give you an insight of what is HTML, what sort of tags are there, what is an element, what is an attribute. Today, I would like to drive how are we going to create a web page. Generally, and many people have a perception saying that HTML is dead easy, HTML, CSS is easy, and there will be no scope in the job market. That is what people used to think about it. But so that is completely a wrong perception, my dear friends. Now, even what I'm trying to explain here, if you guys wanted to, I hope everybody can see my screen. If you guys wanted to, create a web page or a mobile page, the first and foremost thing is HTML. And CSS comes into a picture later, whatever the page. Now, let me see here, and a common example that I am planning to take it. Every website, if you try to take, and let me draw a sample web page. Even if you see, this is empty 3040 site, even from left to right direction, which is called as width, and top to bottom. This is called height of a page. Guys, listen carefully. This is an empty site. In this empty site, we have to divide into multiple partitions according to our requirement. Okay. Now, so if you wanted to partition this page, header and footer, and see this, and also there'll be a slider. If you see many of the website or web applications or mobile applications, you can also see a slider. Here, the logo comes into a picture. The company logo will come into a picture. And here, there are many navigation links comes into a picture. Either home, about, a generic template which I am taking, contact, services, etc. Here, the slider images. Okay. Next, as per the business requirement, even the main content area can also be divided into 3 parts. This is called as left sidebar. This can also be called as main content area. And this can call it as right sidebar. Guys, listen carefully. This is a page 1. How are we going to build this kind of pages? So that is what the session is all about. In order to design this kind of pages, generally the web designers or UI designers are going to use Photoshop or Illustrator, a similar kind of tools. They will try to draw this kind of designs. Being a front-end developer, we have to take the design from a designers and we have to start converting those designs into a real life templates. That is our responsibility. If you are planning to build this particular template, what are the technologies that we're supposed to use it? First, we should know HTML. In HTML, guys, listen carefully. We should also, in HTML, we should know what are the right tags. For layout tags, we have to pick a layout tags. Since we learned many tags, but out of all the tags, we have to concentrate more on layout today. So either you can use division tag, or we can also use HTML5 semantic tags. We can also use HTML5 semantic tags. That is where the real-time experience comes into a picture. In the place of division, you can also use section tag. In the place of header, so everywhere, I'll tell you the differences between these HTML older versions and newer versions later. First, let me list out what are the new tags which are introduced in HTML5 for creating a layout. In the older version, this all division comes under older way of creating. This is older way of creating a layout. And in HTML5, section, header tag, and footer tag, main tag, and navigation tag, these guys comes under layout. Now today we are going to learn how are we going to build a web page by using all these tags. Guys, listen carefully. As we discussed yesterday, the elements are divided into two types. Those who have joined today, please try to understand the fundamentals of HTML. Elements are divided into two types. One is inline, another one is called block level. So the element which blocks a complete row when you are rendering into a page, that element is called as block level. If the element is not blocking complete row, which is called inline. Now I'm going to explain even whatever the tags that I listed over here. All these tags comes under block level. These guys are block level tags. So generally block level tag is going to it will block the whole row which is available in the web page. I'm going to explain about. Can you all see my screen? Can anyone confirm me whether you will be able to see my screen? Himawant, can you confirm me whether my screen is visible?
Yeah, yes, sir. It's visible.
Okay. Few people are saying that it is not visible. That's the reason I'm just asking you to verify. Thank you so much, Himawant. Okay, let's come back to the concept, guys. Now I just gave you a brief idea about what are the tags that we supposed to pick up in order to build a layout. Now what I'm going to do, so let me start erasing all others except this layout. This is page 1. Now let me start creating a layout by using HTML. So I am going to explain you guys how are we going to write a code for this. Let me start using a good editor. So I'm going to use Sublime Text, and you guys can also use different editors as well. Let me create a new file. So I'm going to save this file as layout.html. So let me save this file in anywhere. I'm going to create layout.html. Guys, listen carefully. The ultimate goal of my application is I wanted to build a home page which I have just now drawn in the painting. Okay. Now, as usual, every HTML has same structure. So right from a document type, and every HTML page also starts from HTML is a parent tag. It is divided into two main parts, head and body. The page information we have to put it inside a head, and the design we have to place it inside a body. Now, since it is a home page of your application, what I can say, my dear friends, please try to understand. So when you are saving this file, and since I am planning to create an application, so kindly understand how are you going to prepare an application. For that, again, first we'll try to create a home page, then I'll try to explain how are you going to create a project later. So home page using HTML plus CSS. The layout cannot be achievable by using HTML alone. It can be achievable only by using HTML plus CSS. Slowly, guys, listen carefully. What I'm planning to explain here. So my ultimate goal. So I will try to draw here what is the achievement. What finally I am planning to create a page like this. This is my page, empty page. This page I'm going to divide into header, and slide bar, then left sidebar, right sidebar, and footer. This is called as footer. This is header. This is slider. This is left sidebar, main content, right sidebar. This is what ultimately I would like to achieve this. How? Now, as I already said, first I'll try to use a older tag, older version tag, that is division tag I'm going to use to achieve this layout. Since divisions has drawbacks, then I'll go for HTML5 tags. First, let me draw. So here what I'm trying to explain. So always we have to start developing a web page, whatever we are planning to achieve from top to bottom. So to create a layout inside a body, I started using one division. This division I am considering as a parent division. All the web page design I am going to wrap into this my parent. Next, guys, listen carefully. And my parent, it's a kind of a compound wall that I'm creating for my web page. Even though if you guys wanted to build a house, if you have a 30-40 site, and even if you're not building a compound, what happens? Someone else, the neighbor, is going to jump into your space. And we have to always build limitations for our building. Unlimitedly, even see, since you purchased a site is 30-40, you should always build a house in 30-40. You can't even use extra 1 pixel or 1 square feet. If you try to use someone else, then there will be a problem. Excuse me. Similarly, what I'm trying to explain here, first I started creating a compound wall, which is a parent division. Now the completely I'm going to take this one as parent division. I'll try to take next according to my design. First I'm going to build a header, slowly slider, then main content. Again, main content is divided into 3 parts: left sidebar and main content, right sidebar, at last footer. Now let me draw and design this particular HTML. Guys, if you are a good developer, according to your design, so you guys have to build a tree structure for your application. Tree structure. You should also understand what do you mean by tree structure. This is very, very important concept. Also called as DOM structure. Now, since this is what I am planning to achieve. For that, first let me see, before writing a code, as a good developer, first I'm going to take a parent. Now this parent, how many children are there? If you try to see, this is row 1, row 2, this is row 3, and row 4. Like that you should always plan. So even this row 1, only we have 1 column. Here only 1 column. Even R2 also has 1 column. R3 has column 1, column 2, and column 3. This is how we have to plan. R4 has column 1. Guys, listen carefully. Now, according to my layout, now my parent, the parent is divided into how many rows? According to my requirement, this is R1. Here R1 also I can use division. R2 also I can use division. R3 also I can use division. R4 I can also use division. Next, see, inside R1 only 1 column is there. So here, according to this, again, see, if you are planning to put a logo or navigation link, the story is different. First we will try to construct the layout. Once the layout is done, then we will be able to go for placing an items. Make sense? Next, here in our Example, the third division has 3 children. Even those children can also be created by using a div tag. This particular concept is called as DOM structure. So if you are familiar, if you see whatever the design that you are planning to achieve, if you create that particular design, first if you draw a DOM structure, if the structure is finalized, then it will be easier for us to write a code. If the DOM structure is not finalized, and this is called planning, many of the developers are not going to plan like this. And if someone asks you to write a code, people are keep writing a code without planning. That's why many people fail once you are executing it. Why? Because planning plays very, very important role. If your plan is right, automatically you will be able to deliver a good output. If the plan is wrong, you can't even deliver it. Now see, I started, if you are using an older version of HTML, everywhere I started using division tag. Even though for a main compound wall also I have used division tag. Even for each row I have used division tag. Even for children's also I have used division tag. But if you are using everywhere division tag, so there will be issues when you are uploading this into your server with respect to SEO point of view, there is issues. To see why? Because as I already discussed yesterday, when you are building a web page, the design must be end user friendly design and the code must be search engine friendly code. These are the two important points. Being a front end developer, we should remember. Everywhere if you are using same division is a non-semantic element. Again, I'm repeating, division is a non-semantic element. Okay, so since division is non-semantic, and for header portion also we have used division, for footer portion also we have used division, for middle bar also we have used division. That's where it is completely confusing for search engines to understand what is the portion that you have built for. That's why HTML5 comes back with semantic tags, and in the place of division, HTML5 has section tag. That we'll try to talk a little later. Let me see. I'm going to clear all the drawings. Now, according to my requirement, let me see, 1 parent, 4 children. Everywhere division I'm just using. Inside this division, I'll try to put a header, and second division, I'll try to place slide bar, slider, and third division. You can see according to my DOM structure, third division. This third division again divided into 3 types: left sidebar, and main content, and one more division that I'm building, right sidebar. First, you guys have to freeze HTML. Then you have to go for CSS. However, if you are building a house, you have to freeze the development first, then you have to go for a painting. And no other people are going to develop one room and started painting and finishing all the activities, again start developing another room. If you are using such kind of planning, then what happens, as long as if developers are building a second room, the first room becomes old. That is not a right approach to build a house. First, completely we have to build a house. Then when the situation demands, you have to call electrical engineers or plumber or carpenter. On need basis, we have to call each one of the engineer and we have to utilize their expertise. The same way here, when you are designing a web page, when you are converting web page, the design into actual template, first you have to freeze HTML, then you have to go for CSS. That's why I'm planning to freeze HTML first. Next, at last, one more division. Here I'm going to use footer. Guys, listen carefully. Now, if I'll execute this in a browser, so this is what the output is all about. But the expected output, if you see, and if you go to our whiteboard, so this is what expected output, but actual output is something different. Okay, this is what we got it, but we are, see, in order to make it more beautiful, that is where CSS comes into a picture. Okay, now how are we going to use CSS? That is what I am going to explain. HTML portion is done, and we should also aware of CSS, how to achieve our layout by using CSS once you are completing your HTML. Now guys, listen carefully. I am writing inline CSS by using style attribute. Now those who are not aware of attribute, I am giving more information here. And what I am trying to explain, style inline CSS I am writing. For a parent, I am giving style and followed by a property border colon 1 pixel, 1 px solid red. 1 pixel width of a border, and solid is the style of a border, red is a color of a border. That is what I am just building it. Border 1 px solid red. If I try to refresh, since I have given a border for entire parent, you can see all 4 sides there is a border. Slowly, now see, according to our requirement, so let me draw that diagram in the page so that you will be able to understand. This is what we are planning to achieve. Header, slide bar, left sidebar, right sidebar, and footer. This is what we wanted to achieve. Now, even if you observe closely, even every division is a block level element, my dear friends. Go and check. Inspect an element. So developer tool is going to open and use that. Use this particular icon. This is the inspect icon. So if you are tapping on, if you are hovering on each division, you see here, how can I say this is a block level element? Guys, on hover of a division, you can even see a sky blue background color. The entire row is blocked. And second division also, entire row is blocked. So that's why I can say division is a block level element. The first division I have placed in the first row, and second division still there is a space in first row. But why second division is not displaying on a first row? Because first, all the divisions are block level elements. This is very, very, very important, guys. Now see, the web page, first we have to complete a wireframe, then slowly we have to add all other images and other stuff, then we will call it as a web page. Wait for some time, then see, within a day it is not possible for a person to build a complete application. We are learning. When you are learning, we have to construct concepts step by step. We should also have a patience enough to understand how this application is going to build by using all these technologies. Next, what I'm trying to explain, let me construct header first. For a header, according to our requirement, here header should also have a style and border bottom. Border only bottom side. Border rifle bottom 1 px solid red. If I go and reload, you'll be able to see that. Now we have to give some sort of height. If that is the case, along with this border bottom, I can also use height. So let me give some 50 pixel height for my header. Similarly, I'm just coming back to my slide bar and I'm giving inline CSS. Let me give border bottom for sidebar as well. 1 px. Now, if I want to give a proper height for height, let me give 200 pixel height. So this is just only wireframing that I am doing now. Slowly I am going to add actual real items. Next, my division. So for this guy, according to our requirement, even I can also select my third row and I can give border bottom. I can select third row and I can give a border bottom, or I can select a last row, that is a footer row, and I can give a border bottom, border top. So that is up to you, and let me use inline CSS border top 1px solid red. Now for a footer, I'm just giving some sort of height. Go for maybe a 75 pixel height. This comes under CSS. So this all the properties are self-explanatory. Next, guys, listen carefully. This is a main area where we have to use layout concept. According to our requirement, even the left sidebar, main content, and right sidebar, these three we have to put it in a single row. But as per their nature, since those guys are a block level elements, that is how they are displaying one by one. Understand? Now I must have to convert these block level elements who are there in a third row. Now this all three items are there in third row. All these divisions are also block level element. You see here, this is a parent and this is child, and each child, even since parent is also, I used a division tag since division is a block level, even the child also block level. Now I should request these three children should display in side by side. How are we going to do that? That is where, guys, listen carefully. Now I am selecting my parent. Go back to your parent, and here I am using inline CSS. I'll convert the display nature of my parent into flexible parent. Guys, the moment when I add display flex to your main parent, go back and check. You see here, after reloading, the parent should become flexible parent. Generally, the display nature of division is block level, but I written a CSS. I converted a block level element into a flexible parent. Now I can call this parent as a container element which contain of children. Now as long as the moment when I convert parent into a block level element, then the children are turned into inline. You see here, though they are block level in nature, but they immediately turned into inline because their immediate parent becomes flexible item after giving display flex. This is what the power of Flexbox in CSS. Guys, listen carefully. Next, I should request, even if you see an HOver of a parent, the parent is completely a block level element. The whole row is blocked. But the children's, you see child 1, child 2 and child 3, they turned into inline. After child 3, you can see the space whatever available after child 3, that is unused. It looks like empty space. But displaying a web page with the empty elements won't even look good. However, if you have a house, if a house is completely empty, if you have only 2 to 3 items which are there in a house, however, house is not going to look good. Similarly, the website without the elements, if the website contains a lot of white spaces, which is not going to look good. Now, I would request all the children to make use of my parent width, which is 100%. How can I? That's why then once you are converting your parent into a flexible container, and you should also select your children by using inline CSS or internal or external, whatever it is. Then style flex is a property :1. Guys, listen, a small mathematics that we are using here. This is dead easy to understand, and I started giving flex 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 to all three of them. Now, after giving this, you see an HOver of a child 1, child 2 and child 3, all these three of them have properly utilized the place of a parent. Now parent 100% width is equally utilized. In case if the requirement demands, I don't want equal, I want to give some extra space for a main content. If that is the case, guys listen, I started giving flex 1 and flex 1 for first and last children, flex 2 for middle children. So what does it mean? Which means the parent width is divided into 4 partitions. Out of 4, one single partition that we applied for first and last, 2 partitions that we applied for second. Also, according to our requirement, you can see here there is a borders. Either you can select a middle element and you can give border left and right, or you can select a first element border right, second last element border left. So that is up to you. When you are planning, that is up to you. I am selecting middle element and border left. Same as usual, 1px, solid right. Next, border right, I am just giving, so 1px, solid right. This is just only a wireframing. Actual page I haven't built so far. Okay guys, now if you are going reloading, you can even see that there is a border comes into your picture. And also see now, according to our layout, we should also give a proper height. Since today there is no items inside that the main container area or even header and footer, only just we are planning. This is kind of a foundation that we are doing. Once actual elements comes into your picture, the page looks good. Now if you wanted to give a proper height for an element, if the element is not consist of any children's, now I'm just giving, I selected a parent and I started giving some sort of 450 pixels height if I'll give. So then automatically, so the height is going to increase. Now guys listen carefully, this is what the planning of a layout. If you guys wanted to achieve a layout, make sure that you should know HTML and CSS. But now let me come back to a concept. The code wise, if you try to see, everywhere we started using division, but division tag is not a semantic tag. So since division is not a semantic tag, that is where search engines are giving least priority for a web pages which are created using non-semantic tags. If you guys are using semantic tags more, search engines love semantic tags and they can easily understand what is the content that you guys have placed in semantic tags. That's why I'm going to use HTML5 tags which are more search engine friendly. In the place of section, this is parent container, I can use, in the place of division I can go for a section. And for a header portion, HTML5 has a header tag. I'm just making use of header tag. Even the nature of header and the nature of a division tag is same. Only the name of a tag is changing, but the behavior, still header is also block level, section is also block level. Guys, listen carefully. The layout is not going to change at all. Even for a slide bar, there is no specific tag for a slider row. Then in that case, instead of going for a division, you can even give section. Section is more meaningful than division. The ultimate goal is we have to add meaningful tags more into your web page. That is why, so it is always important, my dear friends, to understand what is the right tag for right purpose. So if you guys don't know what is the right tag and where are we going to use right tag for right purpose, then ultimately you have to suffer a lot. Companies are always expecting a developer to use the right tag at right place. Next, even this main content area, I can also convert this into a section. And at last, for footer, there is a tag called footer for footer area. So here, guys, all you guys have to understand. And even if I save and if I'm going to reload, you see that there is no change in the layout. we can see that there is no change. After modifying my content or my code, there is no change. But there is a huge benefits are there if you guys are using HTML5 or semantic tags more. Next, see the layout part is done. Now I am planning to explain how are we going to construct a header by using a real-time concept. Like, for example, if you wanted to place a, let me build only header portion first. Now I am planning to build header portion. Slowly I will try to build footer. Each and every time I will try to use different portions. Let me start building it. So in case my header, I am planning to build only header now. Inside a header, let me place a logo which is going to represent what is the company is all about, and links. Let me place a couple of links. So this portion I will try to build it. So as long as if you are planning to build a header, as I already said, try to create a tree structure. Excuse me. Okay, now what I'm trying to explain here, first you have to decide how are you going to structure the HTML. Now, as long as header is a concern, first either you can take division or section. As I already explained, we have to go for a section because section is more meaningful than division. Now first let me draw. I'll try to take one section. This is my parent. In that parent, I'll try to divide this parent also into two different partitions. One partition logo, and for this logo again, what I can do, I can even use a division tag because there is no separate block for a logo, there is no separate for a navigation. And for a navigation, there is a tag called nav tag. Even both of them are in nature, both of them are block level. Now section is a parent. Now the parent has two children. In one children, guys listen carefully, logo. Generally always logo is an image tag. I'm going to use the image tag. And whereas coming to this navigation tags, I can still use, just give me 1 minute. Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, so even if you try to see here, my navigation, under navigation tag, so how many links are there? There are 6 links, but each link I can also place by under UL, either order list or another list I can use it. And under each list item, we can also have an anchor tag. Anchor is for linking. Like that, I can go for multiple LIs. According to our requirement, there are 6 LIs now. This is how first the structure you people have to make it ready. If the structure is ready, DOM structure is ready, you can also have a look into this structure. If any corrections are there, make a changes in that plan. And once the plan is approved, think that if the plan is approved, start implementing that plan. That is what every good developers are going to do that. So if the plan is not approved, so if you directly jump into the code, if the code is wrong, ultimately you have to put a lot of efforts in order to correct the code. That's why my sincere advice for the people, first try to have a good plan and try to revisit your plan again and ensure that the plan is going to give a good result in future. If the plan is freezed, then you can go for implementation. Okay, next what I'm trying to explain, here I am going to create my header portion. Yes, as I already discussed, inside my header first I'll go for a division tag, and this here I'll try to place a logo, IMG logo. Then I will go for a navigation tag. This is another child. Inside a navigation, I'll be using a list of tags. Okay, so here what I will try to do, li, each li will also have an anchor tag. Anchor tags plays very important role in HTML to navigate between one page to another page, or one application to another application, or one portion to the another portion in a web page. So for example, for time being I haven't built any of the pages. I will try to give reference value as hash. I'm going to give home. Guys, if you want to become a developer, developers are always 20% only people are going to use a brain to build a logic. Remaining 80% of the code we are going to copy paste. That much easy development is, and we also have a lot of scope in the market. But many people, since they don't know that, people will try to feel that development is tough. I'm sure whoever is feeling that development is tough, if you reach out to us, we'll try to make development is dead easy. Now, as you see here, since 6 links are there, I have used my brain to build only one link. Then I started copy and pasting the other links. Now, here, the link text, I'm giving home. Home is going to act as a clickable link now. Home, about a company, and services of a company, or maybe clients, whoever is there, clients of a company, or in case if blog page if you want to create for a company, or at last contact of a company. So each one of the page is responsible for displaying a different kind of a content. When you are talking about image, we should also know how are we going to use an image. There are different kind of paths that there, absolute path and relative path. Now, as a part of this exercise, let me start using logo, copying from our website. Guys, I'm completely copying our logo. This is absolute path I'm using. So let me copy this, copy image address. Now in real time we should not use absolute path, that's fine. But now you see why we shouldn't use absolute path in real time, I'll tell you guys. Now the page, whatever I am planning to build, the page name is layout.html. In this layout.html, I am storing this particular page in my local. And I am referring a page, image from an ExcelR CDN server. So if you are depending on a third-party server to load an image, if something goes wrong with the third-party server, again the image is not going to load. That's why when you are working on a real-time application, better you guys go for a relative path instead of going for absolute path. Okay, so guys, listen carefully here. So, every image must also have an alternative text. ALT stands for alternative text. If there is any issues with the path, then alternate text is going to load. So since I am giving alternative text, ExcelR. Now let us go back to a page and keep executing it. If you guys are executing, and let me see how this page is going to look like. Now you see here, this is how the page is looking like. And here the completely right after logo, you see here navigation links are placing on top of a slider. It is disturbing a slider portion as well. To avoid this, my dear friends, now again I have to use the layout concept. Inspect your header row, and header row is also divided into two parts. Even division is also block level here, and navigation is also block level. The same concept which I already explained. Now since children's are block level, if you are planning to convert children's into inline, make sure that try to select your parent, and parent must be flexible parent. Very simple. Now in order to make your parent flexible, go back to a header. Since it is a parent, I'm just giving display flex. Display is a property and flex is a value. So the moment when you are giving display colon flex to your parent, the immediate children's will turn into inline. Let me go back, and now you see here, guys, the division and navigation tag, they turned into inline. But again, navigation tag is overflowing on top of a slider that you have to control. Now see here, since inside a nav tag, if you expand and if you look after this UL also, block level element. How can I say it is a block level element? You see here, navigation, whatever the space which is there for a nav tag, all the space is blocked by a UL. Before stepping into UL, guys, listen carefully. Now you should also understand whether your two children of your header parent width is properly used or not. You have to check. Here they haven't used it. In order to make use of parent width properly to all the children, again you must select each children using inline CSS flex colon 1. I am giving flex 1 for a logo children, and at the same time I am just giving flex 2 for navigation children. Why? Because even if you consider my header parent has two children, but each children, the first children has only one sub-children, but navigation has multiple sub-children. That's why I just gave, still I can even give more space for my second children. Why? Because second children also has many of the children and sub-children. So here, if I give 3, what happens? My header is going to divide into 4 partitions, out of which 1 partition I applied for a logo, second 3 partitions I applied for navigation. Guys, listen carefully. This is very, very sensitive code which I am writing. It is very easy. Next, again, if you are coming back to this area, go back to a UL. And now the UL is block level element. When you are hovering on UL, you will get to know whether it is blocking complete space which is available in your parent or not. Now UL is block level. If even LI is also block level. Now all the LIs you are planning to display it in a single line. If that is the case, again you must have to select the parent of that block level element. Same formula I am going to use it. Style, I am making display flex. If I am making my parent as flexible parent, ultimately all the children will turn into inline. Go back and reload it. You will get to know all the LIs turned into inline now. But here all the LIs are turned into inline, but all the children have not been utilized the parent space. You see here, when I am hovering on UL, the UL is completely blocking the row, but LIs are not even taking the space of UL. Since still there is a white spaces in a parent, again you have to request your children to utilize the parent width properly. To do so, we have to request all the children's, and here in our example, each children's we have to give a equal value. Flex X1. Copy paste. That's what I said. Development is dead easy. If you are logically strong, development is dead easy. If you guys are logically weak. So how can we become logically strong? As long as if you are keep writing too much of what we can say too many problems if you resolve, and you can easily become an expert developer. Wherever you go, practice makes everybody's perfect. You have to do more practicals. Whatever the field that you choose, if you're not doing practicals, you may not able to understand the things perfectly. Okay, next guys, listen carefully. Now almost I achieved. Now I don't want bullet points to display. I don't want this underline to be displayed. To avoid this kind of things, again you have to use CSS. Okay, I'll try to use I am going to clean up the CSS, or I will try to beautify my header little later. Let me come back to my slide bar. So guys, even if I wanted to build a slider, generally the images that we have to keep writing in a slider. So I need a bigger image. So let me load an image again, and I need an image. So to load this image, what I'm trying to show, I will go back to ExcelR website. Let me use this image, the background image. I am planning to use it. So let me use this image. Copy link address. I'm just copying that link. I'm using absolute path, my dear friends. In case if the generally in real time we should not use absolute path. We should always rely on a relative path. That's fine. Now alternative text, I can say it is a slider one. Go back and reload page. You will get to know. So this is what I see here. If you guys try to see, the image is bigger image. That's why it is completely disturbing a page. You can see that it is disturbing a page. Now, if the image is a bigger image, how are you going to control? That is where, and you must have to select the image, and you have to give internal. So here, style, width property, I'm just giving 100%. If I give width 100%, what we can do? So you see here the scroll bar which is there in a web page. The horizontal scroll bar is gone. So why? Because since it is a bigger image, now see, instead of using this image, why? Because I have chosen a bigger image. Now let me go for a smaller image. Instead of going for a bigger image, I am going to choose any smaller image. Or else I'll try to use Abdul Kalam sir, FEJ sir quotes. Banners. Bigger images, I'll take it. I'm copying the image address. In the place of image, I'm just giving other image. Go and reload your web page. You will get to know, because all these images generally it will be given by your designers, guys. And one more thing, see here, since I have restricted height earlier, before element I have given a height of 200 pixels. Now I have to remove it. Why? Because now actual elements that we are placing, that's why even border 1px, all this, it is not required. Only during the wireframing stage I started using all this. Now I started removing. Now the shape is coming for your web page. I hope you understand. If you wanted to reduce the height of your image, then you can even still do a lot of corrections here. Parallelly, even left hand sidebar or main content, if you are planning to place some different kind of items, you can still do that. In left hand sidebar, if you are planning to give some more links, again what I can do, copy paste job. You guys, you see here, ULL I am just copying. Even in the left sidebar, delete this dummy content and paste some list of items. And in the place of here, for example, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, for each one of them, if you are planning to create a different pages, I can say Ajax, JSON, and Angular. I would like to prepare a different pages, and I wanted to place them inside my left sidebar. If you reload, you can see that all of them are coming like this. But here, since here display flex I have used for my parent, but since I copied a code from my header portion, according to the header design, I must have to place LIs in side by side. But in my left sidebar, I don't want to place them side by side. I wanted to display them one by one. In such cases, and kindly delete the display flex for a parent. And if display flex is not there for a parent, I'm sure this flex is not going to work. That's why you guys have to delete it. I'm using a shortcuts of editor. I'm selecting all of them. Let me delete one shot. This is a shortcuts bus. See, when you are working on a real time, if you don't know shortcuts, you guys can't even complete it as quickly as possible. That's why you guys have to train with the expert. The experts are only giving shortcuts. And this is all real time. I'm just teaching. This is not just only a theoretical. This kind of information you will never ever get into in any of this, I mean to say W3 schools or any other place. Okay, fine. Now, when we are removing that, you can see that all HTML and CSS, whatever the links that we displayed, all of them are displaying line by line. Why? Because LI is a block level element. Next, but my left sidebar still has a lot of gap. In order to fill the gap properly, I have to give a proper width and height, and to fill this, gaps. That is all comes under design. Generally, designers are going to design the web page, and according to that design, the developers are going to convert that graphic design into actual templates. So to make use of this space properly for a better user interface or better what we can the styling part, we have to use some sort of CSS. Guys, listen carefully. I'm going to use some sort of CSS. Now, before writing inline CSS, I'm facing a lot of difficulties here with inline CSS. What sort of difficulties? Each and every time if you guys wanted to write a CSS, we have to go for inline. The inline CSS drawback is the code we are going to duplicate. You see here flex 1, flex 1, flex 1, flex 1. Everywhere we are using the same property again and again. Here we are violating a rule of dry principle. So if you are a good programmer, a good programmer will always follow good coding standards and good design principles, good design patterns. If you are using all these guys to build an application, then application performance is going to increase. Now here, since you have used inline CSS, everywhere it looks obvious. It is not looking good. That's why the next I'm going to talk about internal CSS. Within a head, if you are writing a style that is called as internal CSS, in HTML5 document, the type attribute is not mandatory. You can remove it. Next, guys, listen carefully. This border 1px solid red. Many places that that red border. Anyhow, we are not going to use this border. Why? Because earlier to show you wireframe, I used it, and now I am placing actual elements. I don't need that red border, since I am just planning to build a page step by step. Even these borders also, it is not required for me now. I will try to build one by one. Guys, listen carefully. Even this border bottom, if you want for a header, try to use that border bottom for a header. If you don't want them, you please try to remove it. Same it applies for navigation also. Slide bar, if you don't want a border bottom, don't worry about it. Now here the CSS, inline CSS looks ugly. I wanted to remove this inline CSS. To do that, guys, listen carefully. I'm taking all the properties out from my inline and I'm going back to internal. I'm selecting an element using their tag name, which is called element selector. Once the selection is done, I'm writing all the properties within my flower bracket. This is called as a CSS rule. Now, separation of concern. We are writing CSS at one part. We are also writing HTML is at one place. We are writing in future JavaScript also at one place. If you are mixing HTML, CSS and JavaScript in same line, the difficult level is going to increase. To avoid the difficulty level, and we have to write HTML at HTML place, CSS at CSS place, JavaScript at JavaScript place. Even though this flex 1, this is for header division. So what I can do, I'm using a header space div tag. This is the descendant selector in CSS, which select a division who is under a header. In case if multiple divisions are there, multiple divisions are going to select. For this, the flex 1 property I'm going to give. Control X, remove this inline CSS. Flex 1. I hope you people are able to understand the concept. Now flex 3, I have to give it for a navigation who is inside a header. The same descendant selector, I can use header space nav. Here nav is a child element who is inside a header parent. So that instead of writing inline, I'm just cleaning up my code. And here guys, listen carefully, display flex, I'm just planning to control X. Same story, descendant selector I'm going to use. You see here, header space nav tag, nav space ul. So this is very simple. What is this particular rule says? We are targeting a rightmost element who is a ul, that must be inside a nav, both must be inside a header. That is what this space between each one of these selectors. This is called selectors. I'll try to give you in detail about the selectors in upcoming session. Now here, for time being, you please try to understand the only two selectors that I have used. One is element name and another one is descendants. In between two different selectors, if you are giving a space, that is called descendant selector. Okay, next, flex 1. I must have to use flex 1 for every li. Control X. Now if that is the case, listen my dear friends, inside a header, under a nav tag, under ul, li. So it is going to target all of them, flex 1. It applies for every li who is inside a ul, both must be inside a nav and header. Now here, this flex 1 you can even remove it. Now you see here this flex 1, Control D, I am selecting. Only for this all LIs we don't want this flex 1. Why? Because we have targeted in CSS. Let me delete that one. Now you guys try to see the moment when I am writing internal CSS. Now your HTML also looks so neat. That's my point. Now this is, and generally in real time, even internal CSS also we have to avoid. We should always go for external CSS. So I'll let you know what is external CSS once we started building application. Okay. Next, what I'm trying to explain. So this is how we have to clean up the code. Same here, even for an image, if you wanted to give a width 100%, guys listen carefully, Control X. I don't want inline CSS. Inline CSS always creates a problem. So I can give one more selector class, and I can give, since it is a section for slider, and class name I just give a slider dot represents class, slider is a class name, space img. So then image only it is selected. That image which is there inside a header, it is not going to disturb. Why? Because I am selecting an image who is inside an element whose class value is slider. So it will go back to your body, it will try to search for an element whose class is slider, and under that only image is going to select. This is called selectors in CSS. Okay, next, for this section, since this is a main content section, what I can do, Control X, I can give a good name for this class, main container. I'm giving my own name. Good name I'm giving under main container. Guys, listen carefully. To select a class, dot followed by a class name, main container. Within that, I have to write all the properties. Now, height also, I don't want to use height. Why? Because I use the height when we are preparing a wireframe. Now, a height is not required at all. As long as the elements are keep increasing, the height automatically is going to increase. Now, I'll see, and one more stuff. Let me remove flex 1 for a division who is under main container. Here, how can I select? Either you can select by using a class selector, or you can also select by using tag selector or class selector. Many ways that we can select. Main container is my parent, space division, which means, guys listen carefully, the flex 1 is going to apply for a division who is inside a element whose class is equal to main container. This applies for everywhere. Okay, next. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, now see here, the moment when I select a division who is inside a main container, you can see that left sidebar is also division, right sidebar is also division, even main content is also division. Now our CSS rule, whatever I created here, division, the flex one, it applies for all these three divisions who are inside a main container. But according to our requirement, the second division I must have to use flex 2. For a last division, flex 1 is fine. In this kind of cases, guys, you should also know how to target a second division. For that, you should also understand what are the different types of selectors are there in CSS. I'll explain them slowly. Control X. I'm just removing all inline CSS. Now specifically, I'm going to select a second division separately, under main container, division which has nth child of 2. Second, only it will select only second division. For that I am giving flex 2 and border left and border right. When you are planning to write a CSS, make sure that you have to write a select a targeted element and you have to write a CSS rules. If you select a wrong element, I'm sure your page is going to disturb a lot. That's why selectors also plays very important role when it comes to web page creation in CSS. Once you are familiar with selectors, then you must have to go for properties. However, HTML is three main concepts are there. One is tags, attributes, and elements. Whereas coming to CSS, only two concepts. CSS has selectors, CSS has properties. Selectors which will allow developer to select an element, properties are allowing developer to style the element. So that's all about HTML and CSS generally. But how are we going to use all the concepts? That is where you need to have a master's knowledge in HTML and CSS. Now guys, listen carefully. And what I'm trying to explain, now all the inline CSS except footer. Now footer also I would like to remove it. Control X. And to select a footer alone, we can use tag selector using their tag name, footer followed by properties. Now you guys, you see here, now even after making all the changes, there is no change in our layout. But there is a huge changes that I made it in my code. Even see, when you are writing a code, being a programmer, make sure that you should always write optimized code. What is optimized code? Even instead of writing too many lines of code to produce an output, and if you are a talented developer, within lesser lines of a code, we have to achieve the same output. Think that, okay, I have given a problem. Out of 10 members, and 5 members started achieving the problem by using 20 lines of code. Think that 2 members started achieving the code by achieving the problem by using 5 lines of code, and one developer started achieving the same output by using 2 lines of code. Out of this 3, 5, and 10, so 2 lines of code is going to execute faster than 10 lines of code. And same problem, people are writing optimized code. That's why real-time companies are expecting a developer to learn advanced concept wherein we can write a optimized code. We should not even duplicate a code. There is a principle called DRY principle, DRY. DRY stands for do not repeat yourself. So every developer, make sure that even you can see here, guys, listen carefully. There are many places that we have repeated some sort of code. And we can also explain, we don't want to repeat it. You see here flex 1 again, the property is also repeated. If you keep writing this kind of repeated code, again, companies won't even consider you as a good developer. So My sincere advice for all of you, and kindly follow my each and every point is very important. This is a crash course which we are going to explain more about what are the important concepts which are really needed for an application development. Next, so I have written some sort of CSS. If you go to my HTML looks so neat, and all the CSS is at one place. Now guys, listen carefully. As I already written inline CSS, let me explain about what is the drawbacks of inline CSS. The first drawback is we have to duplicate the code. Same code we have to write it for multiple elements again and again. That is one problem. Second problem is your HTML code, if you are embedding with CSS, it looks ugly. Maintenance will also become tough. That is second important drawback. That's why we should go for next approach is internal JavaScript. Sorry, internal CSS. But internal CSS also has a drawback. Think that, okay, if I'm building a page 2 and page 3, even page 2 also has a header, page 3 also has a header related CSS, I may have to duplicate in page 2 and 3. Duplicate is always, problem. We should not duplicate. We should always write a unique code. Even inline CSS, however, it is allowing developer to duplicate the code. The same way, internal also will allow developer to duplicate the code. To avoid these duplications, external CSS that we have to use it. I'm creating one separate file, my dear friends. See here. I'll try to explain that external CSS later. Okay. Now, this is how you have to keep writing a layout. Now, let me come back to header portion. Now, for my header portion, I have to still beautify my navigation links. I don't want these bullet points. I don't want this underline. I have to change the text color. This all comes under styling part so that I can even achieve by using CSS. Guys, listen carefully. HTML is helping only to design a layout. Once the layout is planned, to style the layout, a person must aware of CSS. CSS is all about a group of selectors and group of properties that solve CSS. No matter whatever the version that you are using, that is sufficient enough. Make sense? Okay, next what I'm trying to explain here. Okay, let me beautify my header first. I don't want, since I have bullet points by default, if it is another list, you can see a bullet points in HTML. To remove these bullet points, first I should select the LI. Since I wanted to select an LI, the selector is already there. Under this selector, go for list style none. List style, the value is none. If I use this property, list style, reload, you can see that bullet points and disappears. Next, I wanted to increase the font size of my menu, and I don't want to display this underline. Since this the menu text is placed inside an anchor tag under LI. So guys, listen carefully. I must have to select an anchor tag to write a CSS. To do that, what I'm going to do, now space LI space anchor. So what does it mean? As I already said, if you are giving a space between two different selectors, which means that it is going to be act as a descendant selector. Now anchor, see, rightmost element I am targeting, my dear friends. I am targeting an anchor who is inside LI, who is inside a now. That means that I am filtering only anchors who has placed inside LI, both of them placed inside a now tag. In case if you guys have placed the anchor tag inside your left side bar, so these anchors are not going to impact. Why? Because our rule completely says, guys, you see here, our rule completely says I'm targeting an anchor who is inside li, those guys must be inside a nav tag. This is what I'm targeting. I hope you understand. Okay, next guys, listen carefully. What I'm planning to do here, and I wanted to remove the not bullet point, underline. So for that there is a property called text decoration, none. By default for anchors, underline K, I have used none, so that you can see that underline is removed from all the anchors. Next, I wanted to increase the font size. For that, font icon size is a property, and 22 pixel let me use, so that the default size is going to increase to 22 pixels. If I wanted to change the color of that particular text, let me go for a color is a property, and value I am just giving gold value. Predefined color I just gave. Now gold color it is displaying. Under the header you can see that there is a border bottom, red color. If it is disturbing, kindly remove it. Go back to your header. In the line number 7, border bottom. This is not really needed now. So if you go back, reload. Hope you understand. Like that, each one of the portion that you guys have to keep, building step by step. Now you see that somehow we have, beautified our header and the slide bar. There is nothing much to do with the slide bar, and you must come back to now left sidebar, main content, and right sidebar. Let me start using some sort of techniques to make my left sidebar more beautiful. To do that, guys, listen carefully. I must have to select the LIs who are inside a left sidebar. To do that, under main container, I can use first division, LS. LS stands for left sidebar. And when you are giving a class is an attribute, and the value, you have to give a relevant values back to your task instead of using ls. So ls, I only aware what is ls. If some other developer started following my code, he will not be able to understand what is ls. That's why don't try to give a shortcut. You have to give always relevant values when you are giving class value or any other places. If developer is defining anything, make sure that we have to use always relevant values to our program. Now left sidebar, left icon sidebar or right sidebar, something like that, relevant names. Select left sidebar. In CSS, if you wanted to select an element using their class, you should always go for dot followed by class value, left sidebar, space, li. Guys, listen carefully. I am planning to decorate this area. Padding I am just giving. Padding increases the space within an element. 10 pixel padding. After giving 10 pixel padding, you see that the gap will come. The gap came all the four sides. Inspect an element, and you will be able to see on H over of li, you can see that light green color represents padding. The padding is increasing a space within the element. Okay, so the same way, I don't want these bullet points to display, or I don't want this underline. Similarly, however, I removed for my header. Same way, for li, bullet points are not required. To remove a bullet point, list style, and the value is none. After making a change, reload your page. Bullet points are gone. And I don't want this underline. Or if I wanted to give a border bottom for my li, border bottom to display content properly, 1px solid gray color I am just using. You go and check. It will display in a neat way. and I don't want this particular underline for my anchor text. If that is the case, under left sidebar, guys listen carefully. I'm going to select li, under li a anchor tag. Now let me remove text decoration again. I'm duplicating the code, that is fine for time being. Remove it. Now the text color, if you wanted to change it to a different text color, let me change maybe color. If I wanted to change it to a blue color or black, whatever it is. So let me use gold color or orange color, which according to our client requirements, you have to use the right colors. Make sense? Now here you see that there is a gap. If you wanted to give the text, if you wanted to start it exactly from extreme corner of left sidebar, you select this li. You see that for this UL, there is a predefined padding is already there. If you select a UL, you haven't selected, you haven't given any of the properties, but few properties have been applied. That is where you must be very much careful enough, because since this default properties have been added by a browser. If you wanted to use them, use it, or you can even remove it. How I am going to remove, please understand here. I am selecting left sidebar, under that UL and padding hyphen left. I am making it 0, 0. When you are giving 0 as a value, do not ever try to give a pixels. Now I hope you understand. Now here I can also remove this red color borders, which is not looking so great, and go back to that main content, the 10th child of 2. This is not required now. Why? Because earlier only for wireframing I have used it. Now it is not required yet. Next, same way footer. If you don't want border top, then remove it. This is how a developer has to plan. Now the main content also, see, for example, if you want to give some light border, go back to your main content. Instead of giving a red color, I can give gray color, which matches our design. Even border bottom, instead of using red I displayed only for showing you how are you going to plan a layout. Now according to our page design, guys, hope you understand. Now in the place of dummy text, you have to keep using a different design. That we will try to do it in the next session. If you guys have any questions, so that we can do it in between 8:45 to 9, and you guys can even ask whatever the doubts that you have. Okay, next guys, and I am going to first let me complete my footer design also. Most of the applications, if you see, even if you go for ExcelR, our website ExcelR, the footer also, if you are keep going, this is how 1, 2, 3, and 4 partitions my footer has. Again, footer also has few more elements. Now let me divide my footer into 4 partitions, and by giving a background color, black color. If that is the case, guys, listen carefully. The background color I am going to give black color #000. This is hexadecimal color code. Excuse me, I am not feeling well today. It's okay. Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm not feeling well. I'm suffering from cold. That's fine. That's why there is a small delay. Thank you for waiting. It's okay, fine. Now let's come back to the concept. Now footer background color I just gave black. So if you go and reload it, guys, check about our page. Reload it. Now the black color came into your picture. Now you have to divide your black back color footer into 4 partitions. Again, the layout concept is coming into picture. I'll try to remove this height. Now go back to your footer. In HTML, you have to go back to your footer. Guys, and under footer, what I can do, I'm going to use 4 partitions. If that is the case, again you guys have to plan. So however I explain, let me go back to your plan first. So as what I'm trying to explain here, my plan is to divide my footer I would like to divide my footer into 4 partitions. So one partition I'm going to write 1, 2, 3, 4 partitions. If that is the case, now for a footer in HTML5 we have a footer tag. Under footer tag, you have to go for a layout concept, 4 divisions. Division 1, second division, third division, and fourth division. Now all these 4 divisions, generally since they are block level element, they will try to display one by one. So in order to display them side by side, then again layout concept comes into your picture. This is my tree structure of my footer. Once the plan is approved, plan is executing well, better go to go for other portions. Guys, listen carefully. Now here, under my footer, let me go for 4 divisions. Division 1, this is 1. Division 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Guys, go back and reload. Now if you see here, see 1, 2, 3s are displaying, but since the text color is also black and even the background color is also black, that is why they are not displaying. What I can do, I can select divisions who are inside a footer and I can change the text color, the default color to white. To do that, under footer space division, I can use the color of a text. Let me change it to white as FFF. FFF is a hexadecimal color code of a white. Now, as per my requirement, I have to place some sort of techniques. I mean to say, according to ExcelR website, the ExcelR links only let me place. Like organization is a heading, about us, contact us, in media, gallery, and news event. If you wanted to place this, guys, listen carefully. Under first division, let me give first, I'm just giving one heading. Maybe at 6, I'm just giving small heading, organization. Next, bullet points, UL, LI, and A. There's no pages, like home page. Just an example, same links, whatever the links that we have in our header, let me use those links. So development is dead easy, my dear friends. Those who have a programming phobia, so please try to become a programmer. You will have a beautiful future. So don't ever try to say that programming is tough. Programming is dead easy. Okay, so next, if you reload your page, you can see this is how it is displaying. Now for time being, I'm just duplicating the code for in each and every division. Let me duplicate the code. Instead of using 1, 2, 3s, I'm just duplicating the code for you to understand. In this division also, I'm using the same code. If we reload, so this is how all the divisions are displaying one by one. Now we have to use a concept called flex, display flex, and if you are going to give display flex for your main parent. Now here, my main parent is a footer. Since I already selected footer in my CSS, here separately I must have to select footer. So I think we have already selected a footer somewhere. Here we have selected a footer. Guys, listen carefully. I wanted to make my footer as display flex. So the moment when I use footer display flex, see here, all of them comes into single line. Now again, the footer and divisions, wherever the divisions are there, and since you have already selected in line number 60, it selects all the divisions who are inside of footer. Next here, flex 1, equal values, flex 1. If I'll give equal values, go and reload, control. So this is how your footer is also properly organized. Then still you have to do a lot more corrections that we'll try to do it later in the next tomorrow's session. And that's all about today's session, my dear friends. And if you guys have any questions, this is a time for you to ask questions, and feel free to ask questions, and I'm going to give answers for all your questions. See, people are asking what about forms. The forms also I'm going to explain. So everything will come into your picture. Don't worry about it. I'm waiting for you guys. Guys, please try to ask me questions. What is the advantages and disadvantages of no-code website building platforms? Guys, that all the no-code websites are just only a basics. That won't even help. It's all about time waste job. Why? Because real time we have to learn the concepts many. That no-code, you think that okay, if there is no coding knowledge is not required, if you can't even consider as a software engineer. If you are working in a software side, at least here are even as a fresher or maybe experienced, you definitely have to write some sort of code. Can you use media queries and footer? Yes, we can write a media query. Media query is for responsive web design, and that we can discuss later. Someone is asking, can you please explain about node list? Guys, node list is nothing but the elements which are placed inside a web page, and every element is called as a node. In DOM, as I already said, when we are loading elements inside a web page, during the runtime, the HTTP browser is going to collect the data from your hard disk wherever you have saved, and it is going to create all the elements in the browser. That is called document object model. Under that, each one of them is called as a node. See, the flex is nothing but we are converting a block level element into a flexible element. If the parent is flexible, the parent responsibility is to convert a block level children into inline. So generally the flex is for creating a layout. Generally for a layout related tags, either you can use division or section. These guys are block level elements. According to our requirements, you have to convert them into inline. To do so, we have to convert first parent as flexible, then we must have to go for children's. Sir, please explain about grid and transitions. Those guys comes under CSS. Still CSS is pending, boss. Wait for some more time. We'll definitely address all of them. Yes, how to insert an image in relative method. I'll try to explain, tomorrow. How to link external CSS also we'll try to explain tomorrow. That's why my sincere advice for all of you, kindly follow the session from the day 1 to till day 20. Then you will be having a lot of knowledge you can gain. Since anyhow ExcelR is providing a quality of a training in order to understand what is the importance of Angular and other course. All this content is quality content that we are developing. If you miss any one of the class, it will be tough for you to follow up to the upcoming sessions. So kindly understand each one of the concept. So yes, from tomorrow onwards, we will try to build one full project. So people will definitely get to know how are we going to use a lot of techniques to build an application from the scratch. So what is the difference between div and section? It's not a session, guys. It is section. Both of them are block level element to build a layout. What is div colon nth child? So that selects an element based upon their state and position inside a DOM. Okay guys, so that's all about today's session. Since I am not feeling well, let me wind up 15 minutes before I am winding up. So I will compensate this on tomorrow. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day.